Huge, hugely important topic, regardless of what industry you're in or what your business does. Not only does it make the experience for your customers more seamless and more hands-off, but it really frees up your customer support teams to focus their energy in different ways and not get as overwhelmed. So really excited to dive into this topic today. I am Janine, the marketing director, and I am your hostess behind the scenes. If you have questions or comments during the presentation, you can feel free to pop those in the chat and we'll make sure that we get those answered. I'll also make sure that this is recorded and sent to you after with any relevant information that should go along with it so that you have that to reference. My co-host today, okay, my phone's ringing, guys, hold on. And scene. My co-hosts today are Megan Sheehan, our Director of Project Management, and Anjum Faruqi, our Business Analyst. And they're going to take us through the agenda and start diving in on this really important topic. So ladies, I pass the floor to you.
All right, thanks, Janine. So what we're going to cover today is to just start with an overview of the cases section in Creatio. And then we're going to talk about different channels that you can use to create cases in Creatio. So how do cases make it into your case management tool? We'll take a look at chat and web form integration, as well as email to case integration and the customer portal. Once your cases get into Creatio, you then need to manage them to move towards resolution. So we'll talk about how service levels and response times are applied in Creatio, how you can use dynamic case management tools to manage the case flow, and how you can set up automated notifications and other automations. And then, of course, as always, we'll wrap up by talking about new releases and upcoming events and other announcements. So if you're not familiar with the cases section in Sugar, this is really the core of the Service Creatio functionality in Creatio. This is your case management or issue tracking tool within Creatio. So you might hear this referred to as tickets or issues or cases in various systems that do approximately the same things. They just have different names for the same function. Having a system to track your cases is really important for helping you manage your data and make sure nothing falls through the cracks. So case tracking allows you to track customer incidents and requests, assign them to appropriate resources, and make sure that your service level agreements or expected response time agreements are met. And cases can be created in Creatio by service agents. So if you've got someone, answering the phone and logging a request in Creatio as you're taking phone calls, certainly the user can just, click the create button in Creatio to do that. But as we think about automation, cases can also flow into Creatio through a number of different channels. And so we want to start by just walking you through what some of those channels are and how those functions work.
So one such channel is through chat integration. So you can use chat integration to let your company's support or customer service agents communicate with customers and process service cases through popular chat applications like Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, or Telegram. So it's easy to set up. You just use the chat settings section from the system designer to set up chat and messenger integration. From here, you can also add and set up a chat queue. You can set up chat actions that an agent can take after talking to the customer. For example, like creating a case, issuing an order, and even sending an email with more information. You can also limit the number of active chats agents can see on the communication panel so that chats are better distributed between agents. Along with chat integration, so agents can process chats using the chats tab in the communication panel. Active agents see new messages and chats on the panel. They can process them and send responses. Inactive agents can only see previously viewed chats. Creatio doesn't distribute new chats if an agent is inactive. They can create a case directly from the chat with fields pre-populated. In addition to chat integration, you can also set up third-party chatbot integration that can process like common user requests and reduce the load on your support agents. This option is only available for Facebook Messenger chats at this time. Along with chat integration, there's also web form integration. So web form integration enables you to create records in Creatio sections by capturing relevant data through a web form. After a visitor submits the completed web form on your landing page, the functionality implements the ability to create leads, cases, and even orders in Creatio. So some example cases can be for first-time visitors. Create a web form for entering the email address to subscribe to your newsletter and capture a lead. For customers who are ready to place an order or buy a service, capture that information to create a lead or a new order. And for existing customers who have an issue, capture that information to create a case within, like we're discussing with Service Creatio. And then to create these web form integration, you can use the landings and web form section in Creatio.
Besides the chat and web form channels, you can also set up email as a channel to automatically create cases within Creatio. So the email to case integration capabilities allow you to set up an inbound email support box or multiple support mailboxes for that matter that are directly connected to Creatio cases. And then each new email that comes into that inbox would create a new case in Creatio, unless of course the subject contains an existing case number, in which case it would go under the existing case. So tying your email support box to your case management system helps you make sure that nothing falls through the cracks, that every email gets followed up on. And you can set up rules for email domains to ignore certain email domains that you don't want to have coming into your Creatio, as well as setting up default field values for each mailbox that you connect, so that if you've got multiple support mailboxes that handle different types of cases, you can preset those values on the cases that get created from each different mailbox. One cool tip here, this is something that we actually do with our own support mailbox. A lot of times support mailboxes, at any email box for that matter, our own personal emails as well, get a lot of spam emails or other emails that we just don't want to turn into cases in our case management system. And so what we've done is we've actually set up two different mailboxes. Our customers email support@techadv.com, and that mailbox has rules that automatically manage, just kind of filtering out spam emails and pushes the non-spam emails into a separate mailbox, which is the one that's actually synced with our case management system. You could also do the same thing with a subfolder within a single mailbox versus needing two mailboxes, just that for whatever reason, it was easier for our team to set it up as two separate mailboxes. So that can help you limit the amount of spam or other non-case emails that get through to your case management system, as well as using, like I said, email domains rules to ignore certain email domains. To set this up in Creatio, you would start by adding the mailbox using the normal email integration setup functionality. So you'd go to your user profile and set up a new email account. And you'd want to make sure that you have that email account set up with shared access, so all of the case agents have access to those emails. And then there's a lookup called list of mailboxes for case registration, where you would add that mailbox to let Creatio know that you want to use that mailbox for creating cases. And you can set up that case category there so that as emails come in from each individual mailbox, again, you can have them tied to a specific case category per mailbox. And then, I'd mentioned you've got that ignored or junk email domain function available as well. That's also managed through lookup. So there's a blacklist of email addresses and domains lookup that you can use to put in a list of email domains or email addresses that you want to ignore. And Creatio will skip creating cases from those emails. And another tip here, you can set up the case category directly within the mailbox setup, but if you want to default other field values for incoming cases, you can certainly do that through processes. So you can create processes that default other field values besides just the case category. And then finally, one last channel that we wanted to talk about today is the customer self-service portal. So this allows you to create a self-service portal that your customers can log into. You do need to assign them portal licenses. Creatio typically includes a small number of those along with your initial subscription. And then you may have to purchase additional portal licenses if you have a larger number of portal users than that. But this allows your customers to have a site that they can go into where they can create and respond to open cases, as well as view any knowledge base articles that you've published and made available on the portal for them. So really letting them, maybe assist themselves with that knowledge base or create cases when they can't find the answer in the knowledge base. And we're going to show you what that looks like along with some of these other features towards the end of the webinar here.
Once a case is created, case pages display response and resolution timelines, deadlines, remaining time until a case resolution, and even the overdue time if a deadline has already passed. Creatio enables you to calculate case response and resolution time based on each stage. You can select the time calculation rule that suits your business and set it up according to your business specifics. The response and resolution deadlines take into account case priority, case service, the applicable service agreement, and the corresponding calendar. Response and resolution deadline calculation account for holidays, weekends, work hours that are specified in the calendar that's used for customer service. And you can set up custom calendars for to calculate the correct deadlines. But by default, one standard calendar is available through Creatio with the time zone GMT without daylight saving time, a 5-day work week, and an 8-hour work day.
As your case moves through your case process, your case resolution process, a lot of times you may have a series of steps that you want to track or a series of statuses or stages that you want to track. And Creatio's dynamic case management tool is a really good fit for helping you manage that. That's the tool that's doing these little progress bars at the top of the screen. If you haven't worked with dynamic case management before, we did a user group on that last year. So rather than digging too far into the details of that, we'll include a link for you to that user group in our follow-up email after the webinar. And you can certainly go check that out to see all about the different features of things you can do with dynamic case management and how to set that up. One aspect that I want to emphasize from that that's especially relevant, I feel like, in cases is that you can have different processes or different flows, different dynamic cases for different case types. So if you have different types of requests that you're working on and they have different steps that need to be completed, having different dynamic cases allows you to track those steps differently. And so each case type can then have the correct steps and the correct prompts of things to do within a stage for that type of request. And then, of course, as you move through resolving your cases, you often want to send out some notifications to either your customers or people on your team at various points within that process. Creatio does have some built-in notifications that you can simply enable if you'd like to use them. Those fall into two different categories. So first, they offer case status notifications, where you can select which category and status combinations will trigger an email. There's a case notification rule lookup where you can say, when this category of case reaches this status, send this particular email template, and then it will handle all of that for you on the back end, making sure those email alerts get sent out appropriately. Creatio also has a built-in customer satisfaction feedback process that you can use to send out feedback emails on case resolution. This is actually perhaps a good point for me to mention that Creatio uses their own tool for managing support requests. So if you've interacted with Creatio support, either through email or through their portal or some other mechanism, you may have received some of automated updates from them that would be similar to some of these automated updates, including status updates, as well as customer satisfaction surveys. And so, there's a variety of different setup options that you have if you want to use those tools to, customize them to your needs. But then of course, you can also create notifications with any logic you'd like through Creatio's process tool. So if you want any other notifications besides those two kind of built-in categories, you can easily define that logic within processes to trigger and send those notifications. A couple of frequent examples I've seen of this. A lot of times people want to send reminder emails to the assigned user or to a manager when a case is open too long. So when you're in danger of not hitting that SLA, it's been open longer than it should be. Let's follow up and remind people so they don't forget to follow up on that particular case and move it forward. And another common example I see is just better visibility for sales. So notifying an account manager when their account has opened a case so that the salesperson is aware of what's going on with their customer and can keep an eye on that and help, where needed to move that along. But again, really the sky is the limit at this point. Any sort of notifications that you would like to have automated or even somewhat automated where users have to, review the content of the email before it sends out, for example, you can do that as well. So I'd like to go ahead and show you a couple of these functions. I'm going to start by showing you the customer portal. So I'm going to log in here as a customer first and show you what that customer experience might look like. Now, I haven't customized this portal at all, so it's going to be Creatio branded and things like that. You certainly can switch out the logos and the images to have, your company colors and logos and things like that in here. But the customer self-service portal really has two main functions. It's got the cases function and the knowledge base function. So again, you can publish knowledge base articles to share those with your customers. And it will highlight some of the most popular functions. And then there's a search tool right here in the middle of the page where I can search among that knowledge base, or I could go over to the knowledge base section and search there. And then of course, your customers are going to want to be able to open cases with you or open up a case that they've previously opened and see notes on that. And so they can create a new case from within the portal, and that will flow directly into your Creatio at that point. This is going to take them to a, pretty standard Creatio style page. And you can customize this page using the same page designer tools that you use for your, inside of Creatio, your internal pages. So whatever data points you want to ask them for, you can go ahead and, add the appropriate data fields to the screen, and then, allow them to put in a message, attach an image, whatever the need might be here for a particular case or question that they have. And once they publish that case, or that will go directly into your Creatio environment. So again, you can put in any automations that you'd like around what happens once that case gets submitted. How does it get assigned to the appropriate team or person within the Creatio environment? So if I go ahead and switch hats here and log into Creatio as a service agent, this is going to have all of your standard Creatio functions. So of course, you've got your homepage and dashboard capabilities where you can keep an eye on some of your key metrics. Like other areas of Creatio, Creatio's got a pre-built service homepage you can use as a starting point to start, keeping an eye on your metrics. I can see, for example, that, Megan's got 15 cases assigned to her, way more than anybody else. So she might be feeling a little bit overwhelmed at the moment and might need to reassign some of that work to somebody else. I can see that calls is the most popular channel for us on where we're receiving our cases right now. I can see what categories or types of cases we're getting. So I can see, if suddenly we're getting a whole bunch of requests in the same area, maybe there's some sort of underlying issue that we need to resolve there, or what was I going to say? Some sort of issue, or maybe we need to publish some additional knowledge base content on that area because there's a lot of questions about that part of, the product or the application. agents are probably going to work primarily in the cases section. They might have a list of cases that they're working from a dashboard, or they might use folders within the cases section to find the cases that they're working on next. There's also a queues function you can set up to help route cases to the right person. I generally find dashboards to be a little bit more user-friendly than queues, but that is certainly something to look at and explore, what's the right way for routing cases to the right people on your team, which tool makes the most sense for your use case. So here I can see that new ticket that was opened. Actually, I think this is the one I created earlier this week when I was testing, but I created this one through the portal too. And so again, you have the opportunity to put in the processes that you need. If you want to automatically route these to a specific group of people or a specific person, you could put logic in around how to do that, maybe based off of the categorization or who the customer is. You can have your dynamic case manage the different steps of your process. So that you can make sure that your agents know what the next thing is that they should be doing to solve that particular issue. And again, these could be, really specific processes tied to some sort of category or case type field, so that you have the detailed processes or the right processes for each type of request that your service team is handling.
Hey, Megan, we have a question.
Okay.
Are there ways to control what type of cases and or account information customers will be able to see in the customer portal?
Yes. Let me try to interpret that question. So first of all, account information, absolutely. There is a customer profile view in the portal where a portal user can go in and see some account information, and you certainly can manage what's available on that page. As far as which cases a customer sees when they're in the portal, that would be set through normal Creatio access rights. So you can define whether or not your users automatically or your cases automatically have portal visibility, or you could have some sort of flag or process to set that on a case by case basis or a category by category basis. What types of cases can be created in the portal? I'd have to look at that request a little bit more. I think that's doable. I'm just not sure off the top of my head how to do it. So that makes me question if I'm correct. But we certainly can follow up with that and let you know what the answer to that question is. And if I missed something in your question, feel free to follow up with some additional questions as needed. As far as Creatio functions go, the cases section has all of the same functions you have throughout the Creatio product. So things like creating custom fields, managing what tabs are displayed and in what order, setting up those dynamic cases, setting up processes to do automation. All of those functions that are, kind of core functions available throughout Creatio are available in the service area as well. And so you certainly have the ability to customize this process and the screen as needed to make it support, your particular service processes. All right, if there aren't any other questions, I think that brings me to the end of what I was going to demo here. So I'm going to switch back to the slides. And that's really the end of our presentation on the service functions in Creatio. But as always, we do like to wrap up by talking about some of the latest news and information from Creatio.
So Creatio is continuously sending updates to improve the application. One of the releases, 7.18, which is back in December, had some enhancements. And a new element was added to find and merge duplicates automatically. There were also performance improvements where the task distribution was optimized, and this enables Creatio to execute background operations faster. The mobile app now supports portal Creatio functionality. So portal users can create cases directly from the mobile app, attach photos and other files from device memory or the cloud directly to cases, chat with support agents, and receive push notifications about new messages and case status updates. The latest release, which was earlier this month, version 8.0, had a number of major enhancements. In the latest update to the Creatio no-code platform, apps became the main building blocks for no-code development. So now apps are now easier to build and manage and customize using the application hub. The application hub can be accessed through the gear settings icon. This section has a completely new UI where the installed and created apps are now displayed as tiles. And the section displays not only custom apps and extensions, but also base apps that comprise Creatio. It also displays packages that are not bound to any app. The application hub enables users to add processes, integrations, and set up custom UIs using drag and drop. You can organize efficient team cooperation with a shared environment by analysts and developers. Switch between different environments in a few clicks without going through the login process every time. Invite coworkers to collaborate. You can create new apps or manage existing apps, as well as install a ready-to-go marketplace solution directly from the section. In addition, the Freedom UI Designer was introduced. This empowers no-code developers to build an interface of any type by enabling a maximum degree of versatility. The new version allows users to apply different UI themes and styles, and gives access to a library of predefined views and widgets, page templates, and new customization tools to just make the design process a little easier. So there are a lot of exciting changes to to Creatio with this latest release. And of course, performance improvements to execute background process tasks faster, which is always good.
I would just add a little bit that this is obviously a significant change in terms of how you build things for Creatio. Because of the fact that it's a significant change, Creatio is taking this in chunks, in pieces. So the initial 8.0 release allows you to start building new functions using the new tools, but you'll continue to use the previous tools like Section Wizard and things like that to continue to update your existing function. So if you want to make a change to the accounts or the cases section, initially you'll do that through the same tools you're using today. Over the course of the next 6 to 12 months, they'll continue to transition that. So within the next year, the new tools will be available for all of the areas within Creatio, not just building out new functions. But they want to make sure that they do this in a well thought out way so that you have time to help make that transition, and so that they make sure they're not breaking any existing customizations as they move through that transition process. So you will start to be able to use these new functions if you're building something new once you're upgraded to the 8.0 release. But at least initially for 8.0, you'll continue to use your existing tools, and it won't affect any of your existing customizations. Those will still be done the same way. As we move through this rollout process, obviously that will continue to change over time. And I'm sure, like me, you all received multiple emails inviting you to Creatio's release webinar about this. I included a link down here at the bottom, and Denise will include when she sends out the follow-up email. Later that week, they did a much more detailed training on how to use the new tools, a part of Creatio's Tech Hour webinar series. So if you haven't seen that already, I would definitely recommend checking that out when you've got an hour, 15 minutes, it's something like that length, to start to understand a little bit more what these new tools offer, so you can start to think about how you might use them.
All right, thanks, Megan. If anybody thinks of any other questions you want to toss out there, now's the time. Otherwise, I'm just going to wrap things up here. So I will include this recording, the recording that Megan referenced earlier, our dynamic case management user group from last year. So you can kind of tie these two topics together for yourself, and that training release recording as well in the follow-up email that you'll get tomorrow. Two quick things. One, our next user group will be in April. So keep an eye out. If you follow our social pages, you'll start seeing promos about that in late March and early April. So that's a good way to be aware of it. Otherwise, I will harass you, as I usually do, to make sure that you're aware of what's coming up. Two, Creatio's Accelerate event is going to be in person. It's going to be in Chicago, where we're out of, on May 26th and 27th. And if you're seeing that date and thinking, that's weird, that date sounds really familiar. Yes, it is Labor Day weekend.
Memorial
but-
Day, Denise.
Memorial Day weekend. I always confuse those two. But you know, what better way to kick off your holiday weekend than with a little education? So, you know, join us in Chicago. We'll be there. We'll be enjoying the educational sessions and things going on, and hopefully we'll see your beautiful faces. And then I would just also like to add the current situation that we're dealing with today. I did email all of you this morning about the situation in Ukraine, and I just want to reiterate that Creatio's reached out to us to let us know that their team is safe, thank goodness, and that you know, they really do not want customers to worry or stress about that situation as it pertains to their current usability of the product and such. The databases and the security of that information are all existing outside of Ukraine. So there really shouldn't be any issues whatsoever with the functionality of your Creatio system and the day-to-day. But of course, if there are any questions or any concerns that come up from that, you're welcome to reach out to our team, or if you have a Creatio representative that you're close with and you want to reach out to them, go right ahead. And we want to get any questions or concerns answered for you guys. So thank you so much for your time today. Thank you to Megan and Anjum. I hope you all stay safe and healthy and have a lovely rest of your week.